this video, I am not going to be wearing my gloves. I never do. But for safety's sake, you always want to wear some heavy gloves because these knives are very sharp. I've been handling them all my life, kind of like a guy with a snake. You know, he knows how to handle them. So make sure you wear gloves and safety glasses. Always work safely. I just want to press that point before we start this video. Make sure you wear the gloves. Inventor of the new Deulen Jointer Planer Knife Sharpener. For generations, we've been taught that our chisels and our plane irons need to be sharpened and honed to a razor sharp edge. It says so right in the package. Sharpening and honing required before using. But when it comes to our planer knives or jointer knives, it doesn't say anything about sharpening and honing on the package. After getting a lot of tear out on some really fine wood I was cutting, I just wanted to know how sharp do they get them. So I called up the guy who does the sharpening. He said about 160 grit. So then I bought a new plane blade and a new planer knife set, and I compared the grind. And you know what? The plane blade that says I do need to sharpen and hone it was a finer cut than was on the planer knife, and yet the planer knife says razor sharp, warning. Didn't say anything about honing it. So that's when the light went on, and it occurred to me that if you have your planer or jointer spinning at 7,000 RPMs, cutting the hardest wood on the planet, if you're supposed to hone these, how come we don't hone these first? Good question, huh? Well, I started developing this tool, and I've got it down to such a simple point that a smart monkey can do it. You don't need any skill. And if you don't have a smart monkey, it comes with a DVD also, an instructional DVD and instructions. So there's no excuse not to do it at home anymore. Makes sense, doesn't it? I don't care what brand your knives are. Mine will sharpen them off as long as it's a straight knife. I don't care how thick your knife is. I don't care how wide your knife is. I don't care if it says disposable on the outside, because I can sharpen the disposable knives too. So quit throwing your disposables away. Save yourself money. Those who have the disposable planers with the disposable knives, they're really getting discouraged with how much money it's costing to spend on the knives. From 50 to 350 bucks for a set. That's just ridiculous when you can sharpen them. You can get from usually 3 to 5 sharpenings with my tool. And it takes just a couple minutes. I can sharpen your disposables faster than you can get to the store to buy another set. And you still have to come back, and I already have them done and back in your jointer or your planer. So do yourself a favor. Go buy the Deulen Jointer Planer Knife Sharpener today. Thank you. After buying my sharpener, you're going to want to pick yourself up a 6-pack. Well, no, not that kind. A 6-pack of Deulen Sandpaper. Comes in 6 different grits, 120 to 400 grit. It's 2 3/4 inches long by 18 inches. And on the package it tells you for use over plate glass, 8.5 by 18 inches. At least a 1/4 inch thick, or a float glass if you can afford it. And I put 3 grits on one side, 120, 150, and 180. I put the other 3 grits on the other side, 220, 320, and 400. I've left the last one off just to demonstrate how simple this part is. No muss, no fuss. Okay, now you're ready to hone. The Deulen Jointer Planer Knife Sharpener comes in 2 different models. My 6-inch model for up to 8-inch long jointer knives. My 12-inch model for up to 16-inch long planer knives, or you can combo them end to end for even longer knives. To get started, we have 3 different grits now on each side of our glass. One side has 120, 150, and 180 grit. This is your coarser grits. This side I refer to as a sharpening side or nick removal side. This is a side, if you have nicks in it, your knife, then you want to start at 180. If that doesn't remove the nicks after 10 strokes, go to 150. If that doesn't, go to 120, vice versa. And anyway, once you get the nicks removed, if they remove it at 150 grit, then you move to 180 grit, give it the 10 strokes, come over here, and this I can refer to as my honing side, the 220, 320, and 400 grit. So if there aren't any nicks, there's just the 3 simple steps, whether there are nicks or not. You drop your knives in the slotted brass with the bevel side up. The bevels are right there. They need to be facing up. Tighten all the set screws down the side, just snug. I won't tighten all the set screws for this demonstration just because it'll go quicker if I don't. But you want to make sure that they all are firm and snug. If there's no nicks, I start at the 220 grit, and I always use 10 strokes. Nice, even. That way it all stays the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I look at my knives. If it's shiny all the way down, then you don't need to do any more on that grit. So you move up to the next grit. You do your 10 strokes on that 320 grit. Then look down it, make sure it's a new shiny all the way down. It'll be just a little bit brighter. Then you go to the 400 grit and you give it the 10 strokes. Then after you get that done, you take the knives out, because there'll be a little wire burr on the back of it here. Just a slight little burr, but you want to remove it, just like on a chisel or a plane blade. You want to get that burr off. And so you just put it on the 400 grit and move it back and forth, just ever so little. This doesn't take a lot, about like that. And feel that burr is gone, then you're good to go. You're all done with the 2-knife setup. If you have a 3-knife system, it's a little different. What you do is with a felt pen, you mark them. With a 3-knife system, you want to mark your knives with a felt pen, 1, 2, and 3 to keep track of which ones you're sharpening. You want to start on your first grit and sharpen on that grit. Your 10 strokes. Then you remove one knife, put the other third knife in, and sharpen on that same grit, your 10 strokes. After you get done sharpening on that grit, you move up to 320 grit. You sharpen your 10 strokes on that one, then take the opposite knife out, put in the other knife, sharpen on that same grit. Now all 3 of them are sharpened with the 320 grit. So now you move up to the 400 grit, you sharpen on that, take the opposite knife that you did the last time, put that in, and sharpen on your 400 grit. In other words, you're alternating each time you go. You take them out, so that way all the widths stay the same. And that way it just keeps everything in balance a lot better. Then at the end, like you would with the 2 knives, you want to take that burr off the back side by stroking it, slapping it back and forth just a little bit to remove that. And you're ready to put them in your planer. It's just that simple.